I get a lot of people on my live stream always asking, like, how long would it take? And I sort of say, don't expect anything back for at least 6 months. I'd say expect it to take a year to 2 years to be anywhere near the level you need to be. Take the part that drove virality. That's all you have to do. Take the part that drove virality. That usually isn't the script. It might be the hook, or there's a core component of that piece of content that is driving virality. All you have to do is take that. I don't want a mega viral video. I really don't. I think it ruins your account. I generally don't want 10, 15, 20 million viral TikTok. Absolutely not. Because it's just going to bring in people that I don't want as my audience, and it's going to potentially ruin my engagement.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Coach Tribe podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. I would call him a pro when it comes to social media. He has more than 113K followers on Instagram, 250K followers on TikTok, 3.5 million likes on TikTok. If that doesn't show that he knows what he's doing, I don't know what else. Welcome, Ben. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Very excited to have you here and, get all the juice out, all the tips, all the tricks, all the tools, because you're an expert in it. So we have so much to learn from it. But now the $1 million question, and we're going to start with it, Ben, is how did you get to all of this many followers? How did that growth path look for you?
I started creating content about 4 years ago on fitness Instagram account. I was documenting process behind training for an Ironman, doing that for 1.5 years, and then just fell out of love with that. I then joined Twitch 3 years ago, started streaming whilst I was at Twitch because that was just the business that I was in. And then started creating content on TikTok. I grew that account to about 100K, and then also my Twitch following a little bit. And then I burnt out from streaming. I wasn't really enjoying the gaming aspect of streaming, and I was more of an entertainment streamer. It's not really what I enjoy doing. And then during that period, I fell more in love with the growth aspect within the streaming ecosystem, and I guess also the growth aspect in the short form ecosystem. Burnt out, took about 6 months off. And then I think last August, I started this account and then just started growing it from there. I started my own podcast, which I don't do anymore. It's too much effort. That was kind of one of the things I was trying, and just trying multiple different things. And then I didn't start seeing any real growth on the account until about 6 months in. I think after 6 months, I was on about 200 followers. Literally, I'd posted 100 videos or so. And then just started changing my content strategy slightly in terms of it being more of a research focused content strategy. So just finding stuff that's doing well in the niche, and then just remaking the videos in my own style and what I thought was better. And then that just started to change the growth trajectory of my account very quickly, and then pivoted out of streaming. I was doing streaming tips and streaming advice, and then I branched out into more streaming tools, and then I branched out into more creator tools, and now I just cover relevant to somebody that creates video content generally.
Yeah, I know we also have some very useful tutorials on CapCut, editing apps, tricks to do over there. So that's really cool as well. Ben, what I want to ask you is, you mentioned you changed your content strategy, you researched it more. What worked and what didn't work for you before? Like, what was the game changer? What turned the needle?
So what didn't work was just thinking that my ideas were the best ideas. It's the common problem that I see with everybody that starts content, is that they think their good ideas are going to be reciprocated as good ideas by everybody else in that niche, which is often not necessarily true, because one's perspective is very different than potentially thousands of people's perspective. And it's generally why people think that when they've created a viral video, it doesn't go viral. It's because people don't care. That's like, they just, that video should have done really well. According to who? According to you, or according to your audience? If your audience would have done really well because they would have watched it. So that was kind of the biggest change for me, is just taking myself outside of my own perspective and actually making content that I could actually see was performing well just based off other people's videos, rather than like me just taking my experience and just thinking that's what people want to watch. it might be what I think they want to watch. It might be what I think is the most valuable thing for them this period of time. And this should be the advice that they're listening to, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the advice that they listen to. And that seems to be a recurring theme across most niches, because people just are at different stages of wherever they're at in terms of whatever they're trying to learn or watch, etc. Often what you think does well isn't what actually does well. So I started spending a lot more time researching across my niche and other similar niches to figure out what like ideas, concepts and themes were actually consistently performing well when it comes to views on TikTok, and then basically just doubling down on those themes and just remaking them into videos from myself, because generally most of those concepts and themes are not unique to the creator themselves. They're just general concepts and themes within the niche, and always been in my mind in terms of thinking about creating content on it, just never not a priority, because my own perspective would tell me that that isn't what people should watch or want to watch. But then I look at views of other people's videos and it tells me that's what they want to watch. So I play the game. As I always said, having fun isn't my priority, winning is my priority. So I'll create content that I don't necessarily want to create if it means it's going to get me traction.
That's, I would say, a very valuable lesson. First of all, sort of get out of your own mind and just replicate success in a way. Can you tell us a bit more about your strategy after that? Like specifics into, do you, for example, search top creators? Do you filter their best performing content? How do you replicate that?
Yeah, I build a list of creators that are very similar to me in a spreadsheet, and I spend time going through all of their best performing videos based off of views, or I will pull their data into a spreadsheet and I'll filter by ratios, likes to views, comments to views, shares to views, saves to views, because then that'll give me a better idea of what content has driven more engagement per view rather than just looking at what has the most views. Because if I look at what has the most views and look at what has the most comments and likes, generally they're just going to be correlated to the videos that have the most views. So it's kind of not that valuable to look at a video that has the most shares, because it's probably just the video that has the most views. So if I pull ratios of those, I can find videos that didn't get many views but actually got lots of shares per view, and that tells me that the video itself, there was something in it that was actually pretty good that drove good engagement, but perhaps the video wasn't optimized in the first 3 to 10 seconds, or at the start of the video, maybe it wasn't made very well. And in that case, I can extract the topic or theme that clearly resonates highly with the audience and just make the video better, make the intro better. I've done that multiple times and had a lot of success with finding videos like that. I wouldn't necessarily do it for likes. I don't really care about likes. I'm more interested in shares and saves. And generally what I'll also do is on those videos that have got that high ratio, I'll go in the comments and look at and find out why the video did well. I always read comments when I'm looking at other people's videos, because it just basically tells me what people cared about in the video. It's really obvious. It's always a massive recurring theme. People always comment about the same thing. 70-80% of the comments will literally be either they're resonating with something that the creator said, or they're hating on something the creator said, or because sometimes videos do really well in terms of engagement just because the creator said something wrong or said something polarizing, and that might not necessarily be content that I want to replicate. So, but yeah, figuring out what the sentiment is in the comments as to what drove the engagement, and then just figuring out how can I replicate that in my own video and do it better. It's quite a simple strategy. I preach it to everybody. I said it's literally a winning formula. You can't lose. You can't lose.
You're telling us, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just,
No, don't never reinvent the wheel.
yeah, go out there, you see what works.
That's a lie. You can reinvent the wheel, but only when you're a top tier creator. I don't recommend anyone reinventing the wheel unless they've got 100k plus, or whether they've really just nailed content. Like, you shouldn't be trying to reinvent the wheel when you don't even know how to make the wheel. And that's what most creators are doing when they start off. They're trying to they want to have their own unique stance in the niche and be super creative and be known for this. And I'm like, you don't even know how to create content yet. Please just get the basics right and then figure out how to do the more advanced stuff, and maybe coming up with your own unique perspective on stuff when you've actually established yourself as a creator.
Got it. And would you usually take maybe the hook, the topic, the script, maybe rephrase it? What are those elements that you replicate?
Mainly just the topic. The hook and the script, I have my own ones of those. I don't ever need to replicate what the hook is and the script is generally, because I have enough data from all my own videos and I have different hooks that I reuse on multiple different videos that seem to work for me. So that's just what I use. That's me taking the topic and just making it my own. I'll never copy. People do it. I see people do it. I don't like it. I preach what I preach, but my preaching is to take inspiration and remaking your own. My preaching is not watch a video and basically just copy it word for word. I lot of people do that on TikTok. People start doing it with my videos that I've seen, and I'm like, come on, like, you're not going to become a good creator if you can't even figure out how to make the video your own. That's the whole point of like learning how to become your own creator, is by creating content that's unique. But I think some people struggle with that. I guess that just reflects on the creator themselves and their ability to be creative and be unique. But maybe that will come over time. I don't have any problems with a newer creator doing that, but when I see bigger creators just literally ripping other people's content, I kind of think like, I question how good they are as a creator if that's what they're doing. So it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned that, because I know as a beginner creator, I'm still more or less in my beginning stage as a creator, but I heard this idea of replicate success. Find a TikTok video that perform well and just sort of take it and do it in your own way. And I didn't know what that means. Does it mean I have to take the hook, the whole script? Like, what is it, my original element that I have to add to it? Now I'm learning more, but I have to admit, I think there were times when I more or less kept the script, maybe rephrased it. But I think there's a part of it when you're beginning that you don't really know what's going on. So I think that's acceptable.
Take the part that drove virality. That's what you have to do. Take the part that drove virality. That usually isn't the script. It might be the hook, or there's a core component of that piece of content that is driving virality. All you have to do is take that, but you have to identify that first, which you can do in the comments. But the hook will help with driving of the virality, but the hook won't be what's causing virality. That would just be the setup of the main body of the piece of content. Sometimes you can replicate it, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's too unique to replicate. So like sometimes, in my opinion, what causes the misconception that TikTok is easy to grow and go viral on that is these like unique IRL events that go viral on kind of crappy cameras and stuff that people film, but that's stuff that you can't replicate. Because I get a lot of people on my live stream always asking like, how long would it take, and I sort of say don't expect anything back for at least 6 months. I'd say expect it to take a year to 2 years to be anywhere near the level you need to be in order to replicate success in a niche and continue to do it. There are small cases where people beat that, but in most cases, no. And I think it's because TikTok is full of viral pieces of content that don't look very good in terms of aesthetically pleasing, and they don't seem that difficult to create because they're really unique IRL videos that can't ever be replicated and won't have ever been seen before. And people don't realize that sort of stuff you can't replicate. I think that's the reason why people seem to have this misconception that it's easy to grow on TikTok and sustain it. It's really not.
Interesting. And I assume even for you as a creator, you said that before you had this account, which you started 1 year ago, you grew other accounts as well. And many times, people don't see this. They see the fast success, fast growth, but there's, the missing context behind, which is this years of learnings and lessons.
I've spent many years learning and failing. I've been in like 5 niches, but I've taken everything that I've learned with me onto the next niche and kept getting better at the things that I needed to get better at, doubled down on what I think I needed to get better at and what my weaknesses were, and just had more, just a data-driven approach to my content, just always in my numbers, and it works.
An interesting question, Ben, is when you saw that, turning point in terms of followers, did you also become maybe more specific with the topics approach? Like maybe were you tackling different subjects or topics before and then you focused on something more specific, or did that somehow influence the growth?
No, it was opposite. I started niching down and then saw growth and niched out in terms of more basic content. Basic content always does better on TikTok because most people are starting from zero. I find that in the niche that I'm in, which is essentially just like a lot of video editing stuff. And whenever I do more niche content, it doesn't do very well. Whenever I do basic content, it appeals to more people. So I generally don't like doing it, but I only do it because it gets lots of views. Because I'm always at the same time trying to demonstrate to my audience my abilities, knowledges and skills in the niche that I'm in. But when I'm doing basic content, I can't. That's not me demonstrating what I know and stuff. But those videos get lots of views. And again, like I said before, I'm here to play the game. So I create a mixture of videos. The ones that are basic and do really well because they get lots of views. Ones that are more advanced that show off my skills and ability within the niche to build trust. And then a mixture of videos that I just do because I want to create those videos and think they're valuable, and I don't care how they perform. So that's how I balance what content I create in order to maintain and sustain growth of my account, and also help with just enjoyment in the niche in terms of creating content and just still creating stuff that I actually want to create, but creating stuff that is also just going to perform well as well. But I think it's best to have an approach like that.
The Coach Tribe podcast is powered by Pensight. I want to take this opportunity to tell you more about Pensight and how much value it can provide you and your coaching business.
Penside is an all-in-one platform for coaches and educators that enables you to quickly and easily build a highly credible page and sell your knowledge with one-to-one sessions, group coaching, courses, Q&As, digital products, and bundles. Payments, scheduling, video calling, client communications, and everything else is taken care of.
All it takes is 5 minutes to set up, and it's free. It's the smartest way to kickstart your coaching business. Sign up to Penside today at pensight.com.
Trying to reach a balance, the best of both worlds.
Yeah, you have. I mean, nobody wants to create content every day and then not get any growth. You can create what you love every day, and if you don't get any growth, you'll stop loving it. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. People always come in and say, oh no, you shouldn't just create content for views. All right, well, you try creating content that isn't for views and tell me how you're getting on in a year when you're not getting any views. Tell me whether you're feeling good about that, because you won't be. Generally, people make those comments if they're not creating content for a long time consistently, because I don't know anybody that is happy creating content that they're happy creating and not getting any views and still happy, because otherwise like it's just depressing. It's demotivating. Everyone is just a human being. There might be small cases where people really don't care and all they want to do is create and they're happy, but I mean, most people want some sort of gratification of views and progress, like some sort of, validation that they're making progress, they're getting better. And generally, that's going to be done by getting better engagement and views. If you're not getting that, I would say that's pretty demotivating for the majority of people.
Before we move on to the next topic, since we were talking about niching down, would you say that if I talk about different things, maybe somehow related, but not within the same niche, would that somehow affect my growth? Like the fact that, for example, you talk about editing, streaming, maybe tools, AI websites, somehow they go hand in hand, but they're different.
It doesn't really affect the views on my account. I've kind of tried to strategically keep my account varied so it didn't niche into too much of a niche. There are people who create content similar to me, but they create it on a specific video editing platform. So that's like a niche where I create content on multiple platforms. I create content on streaming, video editing, websites. But as I was niching out from streaming content, I kept experimenting with a large variety of different verticals within what I felt was the realms of the niche and with the audience being a creator. So I tend to just think who my audience is and would it appeal to them. And that allows me to, because creators, there are lots of different verticals that have content that can appeal to creators. It means that there's no need for me to real niche down and stuff. And like I create content won't appeal to, if I create a video on CapCut, people who use Premiere Pro are not going to find that video interesting. But I think a lot of people in my audience just watch my videos anyway, even if they don't use that program, because they'll comment that or it will make them think about switching to that other one based off of how I show you do something in another program and stuff. So generally, I'm pretty lucky. I can create content on loads of different things. It just keeps my idea funnel pretty healthy. It's very don't find it difficult to come up with good ideas. I spend most of my time finding ideas and stuff and just reevaluating whether I think they're the best ideas that I've got at the moment and just keep reprioritizing them so that every piece of content is the best it can possibly be in terms of value and variety. There's no filler content on my TikTok, absolutely no filler content. It's not here to produce filler content. If I've got a piece of content that I think is a filler video, then I don't post it.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear this. You can be successful while still somehow tackling different teams. Let's just put it like this. Of course, again, they work hand in hand, but it's interesting because many, gurus, they do say do that and only that. But moving forward, I want to ask you a bit about how this growth in the last 6 months happened, in the sense of, did specific videos brought in most of the followers, or how does that look like?
I'm very fortunate. Again, most of my followers have come from a magnitude of different videos. That's why I believe my views are fairly consistent and high, because I don't have a lot of people, unfortunately, and this happened to me on my other account, is that they have one mega viral video and it brings in more than half of their followers. And then that's why their other videos are still in the 4 figures. Yet they've got 100,000 followers and all their videos are just getting 4 figures. Generally, I find because they've got most of those followers from one video, and quite frankly, they don't care about all the other videos that you produce. So luckily for me, I don't want a mega viral video. I really don't. I think it ruins your account. I generally don't want 10, 15, 20 million viral TikTok. Absolutely not. Because it's just going to bring in people that I don't want as my audience, and it's going to potentially ruin my engagement. Most of my followers have come from videos in the range of around 500 to 1.5 million views. I don't know how many I've got of those, about 10 to 15 or so. But there's lots of videos that I've continued to get pushed out and gave me followers. A lot of my CapCut videos get me a lot of followers. A lot of my growth videos get me followers. When I talk about how quickly my account has grown and what I've done to achieve, that gets me lots of followers. There are certain videos that I know get me more followers based off of when they're getting pushed out. I look at how many followers I'm getting per hour, and I can see, because it's TikTok data analytics is rubbish. Quite frankly, it's awful. So I usually just gauge like how good video is from a follower conversion perspective by how many followers I'm getting per hour when that video is going out, and I live in my numbers, so I can just tell what generally is driving better conversion, what isn't. But I'm not too worried about that anymore. My account's in good stead. I just keep posting valuable videos and just growing at a fairly decent rate.
Super interesting to hear this sort of, sneak peeks, what's happening behind the curtain. Would you be willing to share with us what was the highest number of followers you got from one single video?
Oh, that's pretty difficult to answer. When I have a good video going out that's like getting lots of conversions, all I know is like my follower count, I'll be doing about 150, 200 followers an hour. Like, so about 3,000 or so a day is usually a pretty good video when I'm just sort of getting followers just every minute or so, like they're just coming in. I've recently posted a video on Instagram that I know got me certain followers because my Instagram growth is good but slower. It's easier to measure. I posted a video that got me about 20,000 followers on Instagram. That video did about 1.3 million or so on Instagram. Took my account from about 75,000 to about 105 to 110,000 in a week. My Instagram growth has been wild. My Instagram growth is far more impressive than my TikTok growth, despite my follower count being less. My Instagram account took a lot longer to get going. It took me about 156 videos on Instagram. I had 100 followers. At the end of April, I had 100 followers on Instagram after 156 reels, all my TikTok content. And then now my account's on 113,000, so approximately 4.5, 5 months. Apparently, people say that Instagram's impossible to grow on, which I thought it was because I wasn't getting any growth on there, but I just kept posting. And one day, one of my videos decided to go viral. And then after that, everything was just going up ridiculously. And now kind of average around 20 to 30,000 views on my reels. Good ones do 100K, but most of them average between, that, which I'm really happy with. It's a much more stable platform than TikTok. I feel very vulnerable on TikTok one day. It only takes some kids to just start doing some mass reporting and they can really ruin your account. Whereas Instagram, they have a much better moderation system. Views are also more valuable on Instagram, I feel, when it comes to brands and stuff. But it's just a good safety net for me to also distribute some of my brand deals across both accounts and make more money.
Makes sense. And since we're mentioning, this TikTok versus Instagram, do you use a different strategy to TikTok versus Instagram, or do you usually repost the same content in the same format with the same captions?
I just repost the same video. I just upload the video raw and then I've done that I do the same for YouTube. I do it for every single video. I just upload it to all three. I don't ever do anything in the TikTok app. I upload the video that is exported from my video editing program. Don't necessarily think that's the best strategy. Each platform is different. But at the end of the day, like creating content specific for each platform is too time consuming for most people. So I just wouldn't recommend it. The only strategy that I recommend to people is if you haven't got time to create specific content, if you haven't got time to post like 5 different videos for TikTok, 5 different videos for Instagram and YouTube, then the best thing you can do is develop a content strategy that basically says, well, if you're going to post 5 videos a week, make sure 2 of them are specific for TikTok, 2 of them are specific for Instagram, 1 of them is specific for YouTube, or whatever mix of you want to do. So you're still posting all of those on all 3 platforms. You're just increasing the chances of the ones that are specific for the platform doing better. So at least you're then kind of moving the needle for all platforms rather than just posting TikTok content first. Like TikTok is always my primary platform and I will always create for TikTok, but that's not the best strategy to have. Like if you've got the time, you should think about what content to create for Instagram and still post that on TikTok. It still might do quite well, but I think the reason a lot of people don't grow on the other platforms is because they're TikTok first. And I tried to have a think about that approach, but it's time consuming, And then I started to get growth on Instagram and now I don't really do anything. I don't put any, my Instagram feed looks disgusting. I don't put any thumbnails or the whatever you call them. I don't even know what you call them, the pictures on the front. I barely put hashtags. I barely do anything. I don't use trending music. I don't do anything. All of that's just kind of general fluff that does work, but it doesn't have to be used to work. I literally just post my videos on there. I've got a different audience on there. That's the only thing that's different. My Instagram audience is more mature than TikTok, and the audience is actually, a lot of them are in Asia. A lot of my audience on Instagram are video editors as opposed to creators, whereas on TikTok, they're more creators. I find the audience on Instagram is slightly different. Going back to my comment earlier, they appreciate more niche content on Instagram because they are more advanced in their editing. So generally when I post like really basic videos from CapCut, they don't do very well on Instagram. But when I post more intricate like tutorials using Premiere Pro, they do better. I think that's generally just because of the audience. Their audience are further along in their journey of video editing or content creation. So it forces me to keep my content diversified in basic to intermediate to different programs. Sometimes it works well on TikTok, but I like my content strategy at the moment. It's good, it's varied, people appreciate it. I can get big views. I aim for 100k plus a video every 4 or 5 videos, then that keeps me happy. I'll post niche content that maybe does 30 to 50, and then I'll post basic that does over 100, and that just keeps my account pretty healthy.
Because I'm curious, when you say you upload it, for example, to TikTok straight from the editing app, do you do the same for Instagram and Shorts, or do you use, for example, third party to repurpose everything from one platform?
I don't use third parties. I don't like them. They degrade quality. My videos are super high quality, so I don't like that they'll take a video from one of the platforms and then repurpose that elsewhere. I also don't like doing it because I don't know all about all that metadata, like conspiracy theory stuff that people talk about. I'm not going to change anything in my workflow when it's working, and I just don't know. I've seen a lot of people talk about those third parties, and I don't know. I just feel platforms are pretty clever and they'll know whether you're using those, and I don't know whether that is going to hurt views or not. It probably doesn't, but to me, it doesn't save me much time. It takes me 30 seconds to upload to Instagram. It takes me 30 seconds to upload to YouTube. It takes me 30 seconds to upload to TikTok. I do it all in one go in a couple of minutes. Yes, if I did use one of those programs, it could save me that time, but then the cons of using those programs, if it took me half an hour to do all 3 uploads, then I would consider it. But I think the fact that it only takes me 2 minutes, I would rather upload my own raw video to those platforms. Might not be the same for everybody because some people just do a lot of stuff in TikTok, like the text and stuff, so it might be more applicable for them. But for me, I want my videos to be as high quality as possible. I don't think you can achieve that through using those repurposed style or whatever they're called.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Now that we're getting towards the end of the episode, Ben, I have an interesting question to ask, which is, what are some myths that people have when it comes to content and growth that you discovered that they're false?
Oh God, where the list goes on. Honestly, I'm very opinionated, as you can probably tell by the way that I speak. I hate most of the TikTok gurus. So I don't hate them. I don't agree with what they say. They talk to people that don't know what they're doing and often talk about. I'm just going to go straight in. Hashtags and SEO is just completely overemphasized as something that's important when it's just not. It's really not 5%. And the problem is that a lot of people come onto the platform and they go to these gurus and all they talk about is SEO and hashtags. And at the end of the day, SEO and hashtags are not going to make a bad video perform good. The reason why these gurus talk about that a lot is because their videos, when they talk about that, do really well. So that's why they keep farming them out, because they perform better than all their other videos. So they're kind of motivated to keep pushing out that bad information. It's not bad information, it's just completely unnecessary. That's why when you go in the comments of these videos, you'll find tons of people that say that they follow the exact strategy that the person is preaching and it doesn't work. They're always still in the 200 view jail. I think hashtags can work. Hashtags only work when your videos go mega viral. Hashtags don't make you get more views. Hashtags beneficial when you search for a hashtag and you're near the top. It's like Google search, right? If you're on page 10, nobody knows you're there. You could put a hashtag and you could be the 15,000 video, but nobody's going to see your video there. They're only seeing the ones that are at the top generally. Do you think TikTok needs you to put words on screen to know what your video is about? Really? Like, come on. It pains me. TikTok are very smart. They can just translate your transcript and figure out what your video is about in combination with maybe hashtags in description and the videos that you usually post. And the people that follow you, they can determine what your video is about. You don't have to be putting text on screen and hiding it off screen. And it's just kind of really ironic. Like, people continue to post about all of that stuff with actually really not much evidence that it actually works. It's too difficult to prove that that stuff works. I just say to people, like, if you're spending a long period of time on that stuff, like listening to these people, please stop. Learn how to be better at editing, learn how to research better, learn how to have better funnels for your ideas, like learn how to actually make better videos that your audience actually want to watch, rather than spending half of your time figuring out what hashtags to use. Because at the end of the day, that's why your videos are still performing badly, because your videos are not very good. It's got nothing to do with the hashtags. That is what I hate about social media, is there's just a lot of information on stuff that's not very important. And if you ask all big creators that aren't TikTok gurus, that most of them will tell you exactly the same thing. It's just these gurus haven't got anything else good to preach that's going to get them lots of views. So they just rely on their crappy content like that to do it. So I'm very passionate about this. I hate it because it just leads people down the wrong path.
I think I would wish you would make content about this so that more people can hear this. In reality, I feel like most people just don't know. There's so much information out there. People just take it from one to another, and you just don't know, especially if you're just getting started and you don't, have that experience and data points. You just follow what other people say. So it's like a herd mentality. So I would want for you, I don't know what that would do to your growth or strategy, but it's nice to hear that from someone who actually has the data.
I use the same hashtags every time. I just have them copied in my notes section. When I post a video, I go and copy and paste them. It takes 5 seconds. That's all the attention I give it. Don't give it any more attention. I did a bit of research into those hashtags. I just found like 6 or 7 that I thought were relevant, right? And that's it. That's all I do. And I use exactly the same ones for every single video. Honestly, it makes no difference whatsoever.
What about posting time?
Posting time. I'm glad you said that. It's another one that's, trying not to swear, that's just completely irrelevant. Like, posting time is like, well, if my audience is global, when is the right posting time? 7 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. when my main audience is live. I'll post it when your audience is most active. When is my audience? I know it says it in the TikTok analytics, but it's very, most of the hours are the same, right? So people are always like, yeah, what time should I post? Honestly, it makes no difference. I've posted in the evening, I've posted in the morning, I've posted at 3 a.m. If the video is good, the video is good. It still stands. Like, if your hook is good, if the content is good, the video will perform well, because it's still getting shown to people that will either follow you, or there's always people who are going to be on TikTok that follow you at any point of the day. It doesn't matter if there are more of them or less of them. At the end of the day, it's still getting shown to people. I mean, there might be people that disagree with this. I'd say prove it. And they won't be able to prove it because there's too many variables to be able to prove it. So again, it's just a theory. But a lot of people talk about it like it's facts, like they pull all these data charts out like that. I don't know where they've pulled from, saying, yeah, this is the best time to post. But like, for who though? I think posting time does matter, but it's completely out of your control. Posting time matters in a respect of, well, if I posted a video at 7:15, the first group of people that it gets shown to could have nuanced positive interest in the video that I've posted, versus if I posted it at 7:25, it could get shown to another 100 people that have a slight nuance negative to my video. All these people like video editing, they're all my audience. But like I said, maybe the first 100, they prefer CapCut, or the second 100 prefer Premiere Pro. And that could negatively or positively impact the video's performance from the get-go, based on when you decide to post. But you can't control who those 100 people the video gets shown to. It doesn't matter if I post a video at 7 p.m. It doesn't matter if I post it at 3 a.m. Every time you post, it's going to get shown to a random group of people that are somewhat relevant to the niche that you're in, and you can't control that. So to be honest, I just say to people when they ask that question, I say, just post in the evening. Just, don't you have to post exactly the same time every day, but just, build a routine where you make a video and then you post it at a certain time. Just be consistent, If I make my video and it's done by 8, I post it at 8. If it's done by 10, I post it at 10. If it's done by 11, I post it at 11. I've finished one at 12:30. One time I posted at 12:30. The most consistent thing that I see when it comes to performance of my videos is how good my video was. It's got nothing to do with the time that I posted the video.
Now, Ben, if there was one thing you would like to leave people with, what would that be?
Don't expect consistency to bring success. Consistency on its own will only get you to a certain point. People think that consistency equals success. Consistency doesn't equal success, because people rely on consistency for improvement. And consistency will bring improvement, but you'll come to a point where you plateau, where consistency stops bringing you improvement. So you have to be consistent in trying to improve, and also be consistent in posting. That's the biggest advice I give to people. So don't just post every day and just expect that if you do that for 6 months that you'll win. Post every day, but also spend 2 hours learning how to be better at editing, learning how to do better research, learning what your audience likes, doing all of these other things to actually improve your like content workflow, etc. Because I made this mistake. I used to post every day, and I used to just post, and I just relied on that for success, and it only got me so far. And I think a lot of creators just think that consistency is going to equal long-term success, but it's not. You have to be really on it when it comes to being consistent at wanting to improve as well. And there's lots to improve for every creator. The whole workflow and content creation steps, from research to ideas to editing to execution, and that kind of full cycle. There's tons of things within each of those things to work on, and most creators overlook those things. But that's usually my advice to people is, yeah.
Love that, honestly. Really, really love that. Ben, this has been a fantastic conversation. Now I want to ask you, where can people find you? How can you help people? Why they should reach out to you?
All my socials are Streamstrat. I started as Streaming Strategy, but now I kind of pivoted out of that, but I'm keeping the name for now. I live stream on TikTok usually 3 times a week. I don't know. I live stream whenever. I live stream after I post, because going live after I post boosts my videos. So generally I do that like 3 or 4 times a week. We didn't even talk about that, but I just want to boost my videos quite a bit when I go live. Yeah, 3 or 4 times a week. Reduced my schedule to posting every other day now, just quality over quantity. Yeah, if you want to actually just contact me, then my email is in my Pensite bio at the top.
Gotcha. Well, you heard, Ben, and if this episode of any value to you, which I'm sure it was since you're still around, then make sure you follow him. He has lots of super valuable content. Now, well, thank you, Ben. Thank you, dear audience, for sticking till the end, and see you all at the next episode of the Coach Try podcast. Have a good one. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
We'll be releasing every Wednesday, so make sure to
subscribe
and rate us 5 stars where you're listening to this show to give others a chance to discover it too.